Our Cambridge Care Services are one of the several ways Cambridge Network plans and executes support for our students and families. There are many other departments that don't get seen as much, or you may not know about due to your connection to us, and we want to give them a chance for them to share how they support you all. That's what tonight is all about, to see all the different connections that we have for our students and our parents and our hosts and schools throughout the Cambridge Network. So one of the ways that we like to connect with our schools utilizing technology is to keep our school partners updated with our latest happenings and market updates through our Cambridge Insider podcast. This podcast has reached an audience all over the world, so it not only updates our schools, but begins to create exposure to our partners and students and parents globally. So this only makes sense to turn these next part of interviews of connection to learn about more how we support than doing our first ever live podcast here on this event. I have a co-host, Stephen Van Niekerk, and we have been doing this podcast for this year. He has been doing it way before me. So he is a pro at this podcast life. But Stephen, are you here with me?
Mariah, I am. How are you?
I am doing well. How about you?
Also doing well. You're doing an excellent job tonight.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I have you to follow. You have taught me the ropes on hosting things from this podcast. So appreciate your expertise on that. Stephen, tonight we have 3 amazing guests who will be taking the hot, quick seat. And I say quick because I know sometimes we get like excited about what they're talking about and we'll ask them like fire off question. So we'll stick to the questions that we have, but also want to give them a chance to show how they support, because there are other ways besides just our care team to show how we support, and we want to give them a chance. So why don't you kick us off with our first guest that we have tonight?
Absolutely. So our first guest, I'm very, very pleased to welcome to the stage, the digital stage, Miss Katie Chen. She is the Director of Global Marketing at Cambridge Network, and she's been with the company now for 8 years. The best way for me to be able to describe Katie is she really is our digital marketing guru. Our schools that are part of our Cambridge Enhanced Marketing initiative will know Katie very well because she just does amazing things. So Katie, welcome to the first live Cambridge Insider podcast.
Thank you, Stephen. And I see many familiar faces here, so glad to be here today.
Awesome. So Katie, let me get right into the questions. First of all, what are students and parents looking for most when it comes to choosing a specific school to come to?
I think a couple of the points actually when our parents have the selections of the schools. Definitely the first of all will be the academic programs of our schools. It's very important. That's also the main reason why the parents actually choose their kids to study abroad, to learn something different, and to have their academic actually upgrade their academic level I will say like achieve a little bit more to those like Ivy League universities. The second thing I will say like very importantly will be the locations. Like United States, super big. We have 50 states here, and we are actually, like for most of the families, they know about the United States will be, California, New York, Florida, Disneyland, right? But that's not enough. Actually, from the marketing perspective, we always give a lot of educations to telling people not just about those popular locations, but also about like how your life looks like if you live in this place. And this is how the community is going to support our international students. So all those things will be included in our marketing part. And the third one will be kind of like connection to the locations will be safety. Safety is one of the most important things, I think, to all the families, all the parents. Nothing gonna, more important than that. And definitely the health part of our student will be important too. But here I want to just, we're going to probably jump in a little bit more later on. But after that, I think some of additional things the parents going to looking for, from some of the flyers or like brochures, like the college matriculations. Oh, do you have any of the top students, graduate from the previous years, especially from the international student community? Do you have any of the students going to like top 30, top 50 universities? That's very important too. And I will say the last but probably not the least would be, like some of the activities in the school. So that will not just talking about the academic itself, but also, like some of the sports program, some of the clubs, if that kind of support specifically to the international student, that's all included in the activities and the support from the school communities.
Excellent. Thank you, Katie. So I feel like, a lot of those we knew about. The one that sort of caught me maybe by surprise a little bit is when you mentioned safety. And obviously as schools and as the Cambridge Network, we love to create safe environments where our students can live and where they can thrive and be successful. How does our emphasis on community help you portray that safety in your marketing efforts?
That's a great question. So I will say, like, from the marketing side, like what we're doing here is to transfer like the lot of the information we have in the US and more become like a kind of like a language, like able to be accepted to different parties globally. So I will say, like, like from the image side, like the easier for people to understand will be like give a lot of the images, give a lot of the photos about your community, like to give them kind of a view in their mind, oh, how this community looks like. If that, like looks like very safe and looks like, oh, the people like super nice, have like that kind of a friendly feeling. That's one of the thing. The second thing, I feel like a lot of the times since our student councils here, the student voice is never gonna I will say like gonna be very important because they will see something very honest to their parents. So any of the testimonials from our either alumni or like current student will be helpful to deliver that kind of a message. They feel happy, they feel safe, they feel like get a lot of support from the community, they will speak out. So I think that will be something like, from the community side, either from our schools or from like the school community or even from our host family side, we could have the student to talk a little bit more. Even sometimes they so Thanksgiving is coming, like that could be a good season for a student to think about, oh, in the past few months or in the past few years when I live here, I really feel that kind of a love and like a warm and like the care from our community. And that's important. And that's actually gonna give the real like true voice to let the parents feel like, yes, this is a good place I'm gonna send my kids to. So I think, definitely we're gonna have some of the images, some of the data about the community, but at the same time, let the student to speak out, let them to share some of their testimonials. That will be helpful.
Awesome, Katie. I appreciate your insights. All the school partners on this call appreciate your insights. You are the guru of marketing. We heard it right here. Great images that portray that community, student testimonials that portray that safety and that ability to thrive in a safe, community-focused area. We love it. Mariah, back to you.
Yes, thank you, Katie. It's nice to see how we support our school side before the students come over. And now we're going to take a look at what happens when the student comes over. Earlier, we heard about our care programs, but we do have another line of support that our Cambridge team offers. It's our academic support. This is available for all Cambridge students who find themselves needing extra support and tutoring in their academics. Tonight, we have Regina, our manager of academic support here tonight to talk a little bit about our services and how we support. So Regina, thank you so much for being here. We don't get to often connect because we are working for different departments, but it's really nice to have you here so you can share what is going on in our academic service world. Regina, are you here?
Yeah. Hi. Thank you, Mariah. Yeah.
So, kick off for our first question. How do our academic services support our students in schools?
Actually for our active service, we have different small service within our service. So first, when the school is interviewing students, and then if the school finds the student might be struggling academically or need additional tutoring support, they can actually integrate our conditional enrollment tutoring service to the enrollment contract. And then even if maybe the student is re-enrolling in the school for the second year or third year, the school can also use the conditional enrollment service for returning students. And for conditional enrollment tutoring service, it's about for the full academic year is 60 hours. So if the 60 hours, tutoring hours is not enough for the student can actually purchase our subject tutoring service or test prep tutoring service. And those tutoring service hours are the student can choose from 30 up to 150 hours. Yeah. And for students that maybe when they were interviewing that they didn't get offer for conditional enrollment tutoring service, they can still purchase those subject tutoring service or test prep tutoring service after if they feel they need the tutoring support. Yeah, and if a student is struggling at school due to study habits, they can actually purchase our mentorship service to have the student stay on top of the school assignments and be on the right track. Yeah, and for students that actually find the school's college counseling hours are not enough, we also have college counseling service support to help with their essay editing and walk through the application process with them.
Awesome. I love it. There seems to be a program or a type of tutoring service that fits every type of student that we have, whether they're really in a desperate level for struggling in grades, they have a tutoring, or if they just need a mentorship. There's all these different levels that we offer, which is really neat because sometimes you opt in for tutoring, but it isn't really what you need. So I really love that we do offer all these different levels. So we have a lot of schools that are on the call. How do we get them plugged in if they know a student already that needs this type of support?
So when the student actually, if they have 3 C's or D's or F's on their progress report transcript, we'll receive a notification email from our systems. And then once we receive the notification email, we'll actually recommend our tutoring program to the parents. Once the students sign up to our tutoring program, our tutor will write a session report after each session and share with the parents. And the school teacher would like to also receive the session reports. We can put the school teacher's email in our student session report recipient list. Yeah, and we also sometimes connect our tutors with the school teachers to make sure the students is on track with the school's class pace. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Regina. If you're listening and you already are thinking of a student that who could use this services and you want for more information, in our takeaway flyer after this, we'll definitely put something in there for you to get connected. We want to make sure we get our students supported in the best way that they can. Support is not only needed in the classroom, though, it also is needed at home. Host support is a top priority for Cambridge, and we are continuing to grow in ways to make sure that that happens. Our last insider guest is our host retention manager, Matt Tilley. He works around the clock to make sure our hosts feel supported. Matt, we are so grateful for you. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm happy to see everyone. I see a lot of familiar faces from all my different roles, so it's good to see you guys again.
Awesome, Maddie. I'm going to jump in with some questions, seeing as Mariah's taken over most of the hosting of this podcast. I feel a little left out. So if you don't mind me shooting some questions at you. So from your perspective, in your role, Matt, how do you see Cambridge connecting communities?
Yeah, so obviously with my title, I primarily work with host families, and obviously we want to connect host families with international students from all over the world. And right now, as we've kind of moved to a more virtual support, a big goal of ours has been providing education and support to all of our host families to make sure that they're getting up-to-date information and tips and different ideas for how to be a great host and how to connect. So some things that we've done, we're really excited about our monthly webinars. We have one just about every month on a variety of topics. We've had some really fun topics like, going over different scenarios that have happened, with students and hosts, like, students accidentally breaking something and how we dealt with that situation. And then we've had, easy topics such as preparing for students' arrival and their departure too. And we also have a monthly newsletter that we send out. Wendy does a great job developing that and getting that out there. And that has just information and ideas and tips on how to work with your student and different things that are going on in our community. And we're also working on one more thing to connect. We're really excited about this one. I don't want to give too many details, but we're going to be connecting hosts from around the country and giving hosts a platform to connect with each other and share ideas and kind of learn from each other. So we're really excited about that. So yeah, a big thing has just been providing education to help our hosts and our students, have a better experience. So hopefully they can develop, a great long-lasting relationship.
That's awesome. I love that. I love the fact that we're breaking new ground, even in the host arena, which is just so typical of Cambridge Network. So Maddie, before you go, I've got one more question for you, if you don't mind sharing a little bit of expertise with us, because I'm interested to know, not just from the host perspective, but I think schools and students and Cambridge Network employees on this call would like to know, what do you think it takes for somebody to understand somebody else's community a little bit deeper and a little bit better?
Yeah, so this may sound a little obvious, but I think being open-minded and understanding that each culture is a little bit different and each culture values things differently. One thing I think about as a common thing that comes up is, in the USA, we really value the words please and thank you. And those are very important words that you need to use frequently, right, in your day-to-day conversations and interactions with people. But, in other countries, those words aren't as important. They're not as used as frequently. And, sometimes that can create a little bit of a conflict, right? If, people aren't using please or aren't saying thank you. And I think it's just important to understand that each country, they value things differently, and that's okay. But also, I think that's a great opportunity to teach as well, right? Because our students are coming here to learn about the US culture, and they want to go to high school, and most of them want to go to college too. So it's important for them to learn. So I think that's a great opportunity to find those little things and work with the students to help them adapt, and so that they have a better, more comfortable experience while they're here.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Matthew Tilley, our host retention manager, we appreciate your thoughts and your insights. Mariah Thompson, my fellow co-host on the Cambridge Insider podcast, we are also breaking new ground because this was the first live mini podcast that we did.
Yes, I think we did well. I didn't doubt you at all, Stephen, but I think it went a lot better than I thought it was going to go. So thank you always. Thank you, Matt, Regina, and Katie for joining us tonight. That is it for our 3 Connecting Seats interviews. So thank you, Stephen, again for joining us, being a wonderful co-host for this Cambridge Insider section of our event tonight.